that's so cool.
Every character at the
Oh man, come on. This makes me want to paint Jimmy Neutron on my wall right now. Imagine busting in a wet dream and you wake up and Jimmy's just giving you a nice little wave with Goddard next to it. I mean, like, that's so cool.
In 1999, the children's network Nickelodeon was changed forever with the premiere of a new cartoon series named SpongeBob SquarePants. Nickelodeon had developed many popular TV shows in its 20-year existence, but it had never had a hit like SpongeBob. The show debuted to high ratings, with an audience comparable to Nickelodeon's biggest series at the time, Rugrats. But SpongeBob found massive success in an area that other Nickelodeon shows hadn't: merchandising.
Yeah.
Purposefully shied away from extending the brand too far from the network itself. While Nickelodeon had turned some of its properties into toys, feature films, and video games, they feared that too much merchandising would contradict the brand's goal of appealing to young audiences. Nickelodeon was supposed to appear as a network run by kids, for kids, and the executives believed that children could tell when they were being advertised to, thus interfering with
bullshit.
On top of this, a general distaste for the Walt Disney Company
kids can't tell shit.
Nickelodeon's motivation to limit size and avoid feeling corporate. All of this was thrown out the window after SpongeBob premiered. The potential profit from merchandising the show's characters and setting was too large to ignore, and the title character would turn into Nickelodeon's unofficial mascot, its own Mickey Mouse, within just a few years. It appeared as though Nickelodeon was cashing in, but they were still concerned with expanding outside of their comfort zone and tarnishing their brand, in lieu of building its own stores like Disney, a type of project that
actually is pretty incredible how huge SpongeBob is.
Properties to anyone that wanted them. If you could slap a SpongeBob sticker on it, then Nickelodeon would sign a document that legally allowed you to slap a SpongeBob sticker on it. And since they were already beginning to look like their main competitor, why not act like them too? And what's more Disney than rushing into a huge, difficult project fueled by temporary success? Welcome to the Nick Hotel.
Thanks to the resub Jade and Dan. The Bits meme. Was there anyone that didn't like SpongeBob? I've actually never even heard of anyone that didn't like the show growing up. There was always like a contrarian that said they didn't like it, but did anyone actually dislike the fucking show? Like, I can't imagine it. It really was like the perfect kids show, and now there's a lot of liars in here.
That they had formed a partnership with the hotel chain Holiday Inn for the purpose of transforming its Orlando resort, the Holiday Inn Family Suites Resort, into the first ever Nickelodeon hotel. The property was less than 5 years old, having just opened in the summer of 1999. The resort was Holiday Inn's first all-suite hotel, featuring 800 suites, 2 pools, water playgrounds, a restaurant, and a food court. The hotel was located just east of the Walt Disney World Resort.
No worries,
Transportation was provided to all 4 Disney parks. Nickelodeon had originally considered constructing a new resort themselves, but decided against this due to their constant fear of failure. Orlando was of course the perfect location for the resort's pilot test. It had a huge tourist population of families and young children, and the company had 2 attractions at Universal Studios Florida.
Yeah, it's slime time.
The newly opened Jimmy Neutron's Nicktoon Blast. The Holiday Inn was located closer to Walt Disney World than it was to Universal Studios, but Nickelodeon would take what they could get. During the announcement, Nickelodeon revealed that they had plans to build 4 more resorts throughout the country.
Not wrong, Eddie.
The transformation of the Holiday Inn Suites Resort was to be completed in early 2005, and the renovation would cost an estimated $20 million. Nickelodeon began advertising the resort leading up to its release, and parents began to book their stays at the new hotel.
Did you hear? Nickelodeon has built a hotel just for you. Opening this
I vaguely remember this kind of shit.
Family Suites by Holiday Inn in Orlando, Florida. You get your own bedroom.
Since I lived in Orlando at the time, I vaguely remember these.
Slides and flumes, a giant arcade, character breakfast, and live Nick entertainment. Parents can book reservations.
Thanks for 5 gift subs, bunch of eggs. Appreciate it. Fuck yeah. And I'm sorry to hear that goldfish.
Go to Nick.
On March 9th, 2005, the Nickelodeon Family Suites Holiday Inn,
hey, you have a
commonly
big
referred
10
to
gift
as
subs,
the Nick
Wheeler,
Hotel,
goddamn.
opened its doors.
Thank you.
Guests would walk up to the bright orange resort, with characters peeking through the window of the main entrance. This led to the lobby and check-in desk. There were 4 room layouts that guests could choose from. The first was a one-bedroom suite designed for one or two
Ooh,
people.
that looks comfy.
Sized bed, full kitchen, and a dishwasher. The second was a two-bedroom kid suite. This included a private parents' room, a living area,
Thanks for 5 gifts
a
of symmetry.
bathroom,
Goddamn.
and a
Oh,
themed
wow.
kids
Thank
room.
you.
The kids' room would either feature a bunk bed or two twin beds, and the rooms were themed to different Nickelodeon properties, such as SpongeBob, The Fairly OddParents, Jimmy Neutron, Dora the Explorer, Rugrats, Danny Phantom, and more. Guests could request
That looks pretty fucking cool.
would be assigned to it if available. The kids' rooms also featured a television, and some came with a PlayStation 2.
What?
Guests could rent games from the hotel
That's
for
nuts.
$5 or bring their own. There was also a CD player and an activity table
What?
in most of the suites.
An
Unlike the
activity
parents' room,
table?
there was no door separating the kids' room from the living area. This was due to a county law restricting doors on kid suites for safety reasons. The parents' room was unthemed and featured two side tables, a closet,
Bro, this
a
place looks
25-inch
kinda fucking
TV,
awesome.
and a makeup desk.
I would've loved
The main
this
living
place.
area featured a pull-out couch, a rocking
Thanks for
chair,
5 gifts of
a
Kane.
dining
Good to see you,
table,
Kane.
and a
Thank you for the tier 2
25-inch
gifts of
TV.
Eddie.
The third suite layout was a 3-bedroom kid suite. This came with 2 private parent rooms, both with king-sized beds, a themed kids room with a bunk bed and pull-out cot, a full kitchen, a full dining room, and 2 bathrooms. The fourth and final layout was Nick Hotel's honeymoon suite, called the Nick at Night Suite.
Whoa, shit.
This included a heart-shaped whirlpool, mood lighting,
Well, 1990s
scented
busted nuts.
extra-large shower,
While SpongeBob and Patrick watch.
and only one private bedroom.
Leave those kids at home.
For some reason, these rooms didn't last very long, and it seems that they were discontinued within a few years of the hotel's opening.
Oh.
All suites had the option of a wake-up call from a Nickelodeon character, and simple room service was available. The suites opened from the outside, resulting in the kids' suites having no windows. 14 6-story buildings housed the suites. The main structure comprised of 9 buildings, enclosing the lagoon pool, and the other 5 buildings enclosed the Oasis pool. The main area also
Yeah,
featured
maybe
the lobby,
Foster.
the fitness center,
Thank you,
and
Tier
Studio
1,
B,
Ash.
which was a space for special events such as conferences, birthday parties, and starting in 2009 for inexplicable reasons, weddings. The lagoon pool featured a basketball court.
What do you mean,
mini
inexplicable
golf, a pool
reasons?
and a kiddie area. The
People
lagoon bar
fucking
and
love that
poolside
shit. People get
restaurant,
married at
and a
Disney all
large
the
water
time.
park. The main attraction for children staying at the resort. The water park featured large cutouts of Nickelodeon characters, multiple water slides, water features, and a large water bucket at the top of the structure. This would periodically fill up, tip over, and douse guests with water. And at certain times of the day, the water would be colored green to simulate slime. This was
Whoa!
a special event, with hotel employees gathering everyone and getting them excited for the mass sliming. The Oasis pool area featured another poolside bar, a kiddie area, a spa, and a less elaborate water park. This was supposed to be the more
Thanks for some
relaxing
fueled
area than the
and
often
chicken.
crowded lagoon pool. In between the 2 hotel structures would be a building referred to as the mall.
That's
the mall
rough,
featured an
Pinchy.
arcade, a kids spa, and a gift shop, which sold both Nickelodeon and Universal Studios merchandise. There was a 4D theater, which had a 3D screen, moving seats, bubbles, and water effects. This would show a SpongeBob 4D film, as well as 15-minute highlight reels from recent movies, such as the Ice Age franchise, and later, Pacific Rim. There
And
was also
John
a theater near
Wick.
Studio Nick for game shows and live character shows. When the hotel opened, Studio Nick had 2 game shows, Who Knows Best and Nick Live. Who Knows Best was a game show that tested how well families knew each other, while Nick Live was a show in which families would compete against other families in physical challenges.
Wow, that looks like a fun game. What the
A smaller scale
fuck?
version of the show called Families Would Compete.
Who made this one? Dan Schneider? Wow. That's my kind of game.
Families in physical
Milk the
challenges
fucking cows, just
with the
yank on
winner
their
getting
titties
slimed.
there, I guess.
A smaller scale version of the show called Nick Live Poolside would be performed by the Lagoon Pool, with a small dunk tank dedicated to the show. The Nick Hotel also had a
Thanks,
wide array
Resub.
of dining options.
Wings,
the mall had its own
the
food
bits,
court,
D-Dog,
with
and
restaurants
Comrade.
rotating in and out from time to time. Restaurants included
Yeah, we've
A&W,
done most of those,
Pizza
Comrade.
Hut Express, Antonio's Pizzeria, and Starbucks. There was a buffet open for breakfast and lunch, an adult bar named the Nick at Night Lounge, and the hotel's signature restaurant, the Nicktoons Cafe. This reservation-only
gift subs,
character
Cold
dining
Smoke.
restaurant
Thank you,
served a
Cold.
breakfast and dinner buffet. The main appeal of the Nicktoons Cafe was, of course, the character meet and greets.
Thanks, Brian Robin Williams and
brief
Resub Zap.
tangent on Nickelodeon character costumes.
The Nick Hotel allowed guests to meet many of their favorite Nickelodeon characters. There were meet and greets set up throughout the hotel, Studio Nick character shows such as SpongeBob Live.
This place looks like paradise!
The art of turning a 2-dimensional cartoon into a 3-dimensional walk-around costume is underappreciated. If done correctly, it can bring a beloved character to life. If done incorrectly, it is creepy.
That's not creepy. What the
Disney's
fuck do you
walk-around
mean?
Characters rarely come off as unsettling. This is because of the talented actors that portray them, the brilliant artists that designed them,
He's a
and
tier 1
years
Puff Puff
and years
of
trial and
Salamaster
error.
and Prime Tech
Nickelodeon
Life.
did not have the benefit of the latter. All of the Nick Hotel character costumes seem to be designed in such a way that the characters appear as though they are always smiling for a picture. However, this only works if they are staring directly at the camera, which they almost never are. On the other hand, Disney's costumes are designed to be multi-purposed. For instance, when Mickey is smiling for a picture, he will tilt his head up slightly. By design, he appears to be smiling more from this angle. When he tilts his head back down,
I would
he is
never
still
pick up on
smiling,
that shit.
but it is more neutral, as opposed to relentless and terrifying. Also, most Disney costumes are designed for some amount of neck movement. This gives the characters more life, as they don't appear as walking sculptures. Many of Nickelodeon's costumes featured heads that were too large to move. This resulted in a surplus of premium-grade nightmare fuel. Made worse if the children actually did have a nightmare, they would turn on their bed light to reveal the character staring at them while they sleep.
But that's so cool.
Every character at the
Oh man, come on. This makes me want to paint Jimmy Neutron on my wall right now. Imagine busting in a wet dream and you wake up and Jimmy's just giving you a nice little wave with Goddard next to it. I mean, like, that's so cool. What a cool room to stay in.
Staring at them while they sleep. In short, every character at the Nick Hotel looked like they were on drugs at all times. Characters appearing at the resort included
Let me just
SpongeBob,
slap that
Squidward,
table thing.
Sandy, Patrick, Mr. Krabs, Dora, Boots, Diego, Blue, Danny Phantom, Aang, Cosmo, Wanda, Jimmy Neutron,
Basically tier 1
Angelica,
Fork and Prime
the
Colton.
Power Rangers, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Millie and Geo of Team Umizoomi,
What?
Ming Ming Duck Ling,
What?
Fanboy and Chum Chum.
What are all of
Chase
these
and
things?
Marshall, the Paw Patrol dogs, Pablo.
When the fuck did this place close? I've never heard of any of these. When does it close? January 29th, 2016. Holy shit. I thought this shit closed a long time ago. I thought this was old. I thought the Nickelodeon Hotel only lasted a few years. I am shocked. Wow. Okay.
The Bubble Guppies, and Little Bill. The costume designs
Seems to
improved
get some
over
Fork
time, but
and
they were still
Diablo
not
and
optimal for
Ash.
character shows.
But Squidward, today is the day that we honor the greatest sandwich in the 7 seas, the Krabby Patty!
Woo!
Behind the mall, there was a man-made lake. While it was not accessible to guests, various statues of Nickelodeon characters were placed on it. The hotel also had Christmas festivities named the Let It Snow Celebration. The resort was decorated in bright Christmas lights, and it offered hot chocolate and s'mores around fire pits.
They're opening a new
Walk-around
one?
Characters were dressed in seasonal costumes.
I'm going.
And there was a special Studio Nick character show called Celebrate Nickmas. So, how much did it cost? The renovation to create the resort ended up costing around $25 million.
It wasn't bad,
A total
Num
of
Num.
777 suites were available to book. Prices fluctuated throughout the year.
Thanks,
a
James.
two-bedroom kid suite cost between $135 and $275 a night.
Thanks to
while
Tier
a
1
three-bedroom
Fat
kid
Eyes.
suite cost between $300 and $600 a night. The buffet was around $10 for adults, $8 for kids, and free for anyone under 12. The Nicktoons Cafe character dining cost $17.
Oh, he's Gangnam styling. What the fuck is that? Gee, he's busting it.
Wristband and
Holy
earrings
shit.
would allow guests access to the 4D experience and other activities in the mall area. This cost around $20. So if you did the math, a family of 4 spending 2 nights and a full day at the hotel would cost over $750 during peak season. While this was expensive,
Holy
the Nick
shit.
Hotel operated as a resort, with enough activities and attractions to keep guests on property during their stay. This was different than Disney, as more often than not, Walt Disney World Resort Hotel guests will be purchasing tickets to one or more of the property's theme parks. On April 30th, 2005, just over a month after the Nick Hotel opened its doors, Nickelodeon Studios at Universal Studios Florida closed.
No.
The time capsule had been buried outside of the studio in 1992. Kids voted on what they wanted to be placed in the capsule, and items such as a Back to the Future VHS, an MC Hammer CD, and a Nintendo Game Boy were buried. The capsule was to remain for 50 years, to be opened in 2042. After Nickelodeon Studios closed, the time capsule was moved to the Nick Hotel where it was reburied and displayed for guests. The Nickelodeon Hotel continued to operate normally for over a decade.
Yeah!
Options and shows periodically. In May of 2012, Double Dare Live, a new game show at Studio Nick based off
Tier 1 games are
debuted. In 2014, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Summer of the Shell began. Some rooms were rethemed to the heroes, and a laser maze based off of the TV show was added to the mall.
That looks fucking cool, and the laser like slightly burns you when you fuck up.
But just a month after the celebration ended, the Nick Hotel would receive some devastating news. On January 29, 2016, Nickelodeon announced that the Nickelodeon Family Suites would be rebranded back into a Holiday Inn.
No!
The news, while sad for many, was not necessarily shocking. There were a few signs that the Nick Hotel might not be around for much longer. For one, Nickelodeon had a severely reduced presence at Universal Studios Florida, since Nickelodeon Studios had closed in 2005 and Jimmy Neutron's Nicktoon Blast had closed in 2011. While walk-around cameras still appeared at the park, there was no attraction dedicated to Nickelodeon. This made marketing the resort and the park together slightly more difficult, and more than anything, it was an indication that an era of Nickelodeon was over. By 2016, the original branding was dated, as all of the shows, except SpongeBob and the Fairly OddParents, had ended. Another issue was that the concept for the resort was flawed from the beginning. The Nick Hotel operated like an all-inclusive resort, similar to those found in tropical destinations. The problem was that the Nick Hotel was in the middle of Orlando. This made guests feel claustrophobic, as the resort was not sitting next to an ocean. They also wanted to go experience Orlando's many attractions, but for the price of the Nick Hotel,
I'm not near the ocean. This place sucks.
Their money's worth. However, these were all minor issues. The biggest reason for the debranding was Nickelodeon's new partnership with Charisma Hotels.
This was
created to build Nickelodeon resorts throughout the world. The company had never gone through with the plans for expansion with Holiday Inn, most likely due to the Nick Hotel not being a massive success. The resort was popular, but it was clear that the Holiday Inn concept wouldn't work outside of Orlando. The first Nickelodeon resort with Charisma Hotels would open in Punta Cana in the Dominican Republic later in 2016. The new resort would have many attractions similar to the Nick Hotel, but it had a more elegant and subtle design and was located on a beach. The Punta Cana resort was met with glowing reviews, and another resort is set to open in Riviera Maya, Mexico in 2019. Since Nickelodeon was focusing on a more luxurious resort brand, they decided to end their licensing contract with Holiday Inn. There was also one more reason for the closure. The hotel
That looked fucking awesome!
Shape.
The Nickelodeon Hotel, 10 years later. These images may be disturbing.
Thanks to the resub, Pin, Emu, and Type Fun. Is that blood? It's not too bad. This is very nitpicky. As if you don't ever stay in a hotel room with diapers and piss stains. Like, I mean, it's not that surprising.
By 2016, the Nick Hotel desperately needed a renovation. This meant either updating all of the Nickelodeon characters and properties, or removing them completely. The timing just happened to be perfect to end the contract. The resort was to receive a $30 million renovation along with the debranding. It was set to reopen on April 17, 2016. However, construction delays pushed the project back nearly 2 months. Having been announced in January that it was to close, this put the Nick Hotel in a state of limbo for 5 months, and the hotel stayed open for most of the transformation. During this time, certain activities were discontinued,
$700 a night for that?
were being repainted, and logos were being removed.
That's SpongeBob's
The time capsule was once again dug up and moved to the Nickelodeon Studios in Burbank. Less people were staying at the hotel during this time, and the resort felt abandoned. Many of the themed kid suites remained, despite the rest of the hotel being given a blue paint job and replacing all Nickelodeon logos with Holiday Inn. Many of the TVs and appliances had not been replaced since the hotel opened. The whole area was almost completely silent, with many of the attractions and restaurants being renovated or removed. Finally, on June 1st, 2016, the resort reopened as the Holiday Inn Orlando Suites. The hotel still hosts family game shows, the food court reopened with some new restaurants, the water bucket is now dyed dark blue at certain times, the 4D theater now shows some generic movie, the laser maze is now themed to Batman, and the gift shop now sells both Nickelodeon and Disney merchandise. The prices have also dropped significantly. now typically below $100 a night for a room with a kid suite.
That's a great
It was
deal.
an interesting experiment, to say the least, because it didn't not work. Attendance was consistent, it wasn't completely neglected by either company, and it avoided what would have probably been a disastrous expansion. At the same time, it wasn't perfect.
A fond
the
memory
design was
then.
cheesy, the activities were immature, and there was little to nothing for parents.
Activities
Plus,
immature, it's for
Holiday
kids,
Inn,
bro.
known more for having economical prices rather than
Kids can pay
luxurious
$700 a
facilities,
night.
was probably not the best choice for the partnership. Nickelodeon made the right decision in partnering with Charisma Hotels, and it's possible that many new Nickelodeon resorts will open in the future. While these new resorts best the Nickelodeon family suites in almost every category, it is still disappointing to see such an elaborate entertainment experience disappear. Seeing the debranded hotel, a skeleton of what it once was, is devastating to those that stayed there and the many more that wanted to. While it might be gone, the Nick Hotel leaves behind a decade of memories of Nickelodeon fans having the best day ever.
It does look like the best day ever. Fucking slimed. Man, I wish I had stayed there. That seems like a place I would have fucking hated. So what, you just stay there, eat, and then play in a laser maze once, and then watch a 10-minute SpongeBob movie? It seems fucking terrible. Like, I guess what you'd do is you'd have like a big fun day in Orlando, if that's even possible, and then go back to the Nickelodeon Hotel and the party doesn't stop.